Hey, you don't want to miss the end of this episode because we offer up a 20% off coupon to be utilized on the VivaRays website. So make sure you check out and look out for that. You're going to enjoy this episode with Roudy here that we talk about light therapy, the benefits of different kinds of glasses, blue light, that kind of stuff. You're going to want to listen up to every nugget and maybe even rewind it to listen it over again like I did. But a ton of benefits, and of course, who doesn't like discounts and coupons? And it's a great company, and these are state-of-the-art. If you thought all these glasses were stupid, or if you thought they were all the same, they are not. You definitely want to check it out. I have a pair, and I'm about to get another pair, and I'm getting some for my family. But anyways, check out this episode, and again, stay tuned for that 20% at the end of this episode. Here we go with today's episode of One Step Further. Hey, welcome to another episode of One Step Further. I am your host, Justin Arnold. And if it's your first time tuning in, this is a podcast where essentially we do that. We take things from your life personally, professionally, spiritually, and we hope to move them a step further. So we invite amazing guests on here that can hopefully do that. Our guest today is Roudy. He's just an amazing dude. He's head of VivaRays, which we'll talk about a little bit today. We'll talk about light therapy, the importance of light. And if you haven't seen me, I've been wearing these cool little, not the ones I'm wearing now, but you've probably seen me wear these. And these are become a part of my nighttime ritual. And these are things that I wear. And if you're listening to this, basically I'm wearing glasses that you might have seen in the 70s rock video, but these are red lens glasses. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But Roudy, why don't you go and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, Justin. I'm so enthused to be here. My name is Roudy Nassif. I'm the co-founder of VivaRays. And today I feel very excited to talk about the power of light and to unlock and share some of the light protocols that have helped me personally and helped thousands of people to optimize their sleep, digest better, have more energy and focus, and become more productive. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward for a deep dive where we explore some of the problems that are not obvious to so many people in the modern world in relationship to light, and some of the greatest solutions that we can apply in our everyday's life so we can live a much more fulfilling and healthy life.
Yeah, and you talk about all the things, and I'll just give a personal testimony. Why I was excited to do this here with Roudy today was I had some, and I was kind of skeptical, like a lot of people, seeing some of these things, and then I just started to, because I am like most people. I'm a busy man. I own a business. I have 3 kids. You know, it's not always ideal, like, to sit by firelight or watch the sunset and then go directly to bed. I still got to get the kids to bed and do these things. So I got to live in this modern world. And so in our house, yeah, we still have normal lights other than the kids' bedroom. We replaced the red lights, and I started wearing these, and I've encouraged the kids as well. And we all noticed a difference. And when I started noticing a difference, it was literally just like more of that easing into that sleep period. And you talked about that, better sleep. So therefore I'm waking up with more energy as well. And that's why, like, I'm just all about it whenever I'm in front of technology. These aren't necessarily those, but these are just blue light glasses, and they are hugely beneficial. But you know, everybody's got their motivating factor. Like everyone, like, for example, like why I do what I do, like why light therapy? Why was this something, man, we got to do this. Like, this is our passion. We have to change the world with this product and the things that we do. What was there an initial just like trigger, or what was kind of the motivation behind VivaRays and all that?
Totally. I mean, nowadays, so many of us are driven by an absolutely phenomenal desire to create a better world and life quality for ourselves, our loved one, our clients. I know you are, Jason. I know that you're a very passionate guy that is helping your clients to live a much more a healthier and a much more fulfilling life. Now, we are so focused on improving our practices and scaling our businesses. And in doing so, we often work indoors under artificial lights and exposed to digital devices, and often until late at night, without realizing the negative impacts that we have brought onto our bodies. as I was telling you earlier, that most people nowadays still think that light is simply something that makes vision possible. However, I'm here today to share that light is much more powerful, profound, and influential than that. This ball of electromagnetic radiation that we call light is a tool that can spiritually, physically, and emotionally transform our lives. Now, I always like to give a clear context of why so. And in my exploration, and before I share my story, because I have a very interesting story about how I got interested in light. But before that, let's go back together to 1.5 billion years in evolution. Okay, we're gonna travel in time,
Okay.
and what
With you.
what evolutionary biology tells us, that around that time we started evolving around the ocean from a single-celled organism called bacteria, and we started developing increasing levels of sentience and consciousness, which led us to become these super powerful human beings that can think, perceive, create, feel, and interact with the environment. And if we were to define sentience as one of the greatest theoretical physicists, Machu Kaku, does, sentience is our ability to perfectly receive signals from the environment and interact with the environment based on those signals. And consciousness is all the feedback loops necessary in order for us to build a model of us in space and time in relationship to others. And in order for us to do so, we have had the ability to evolve the ability to perfectly receive signals from the environment and interact and react and act based on those signals, so we can move forward in procreation, finding food, etc. And the most important signals of them all is light. Okay, so in a way, I like to use this analogy because similar to how light recharges a solar panel by generating a flow of electricity, this spark of light has enabled us to develop our nervous systems, has enabled us to develop bigger brains, okay, and enabled our mitochondria, which is the power engine in our cell, to become this super powerful engine that is able to produce unlimited amount of energy. Now, in the world of quantum physics, energy is information. And all this means that through our interaction with light, through our interaction with our environment, we became much more efficient at storing information, organizing information, and directing this information towards an ends, towards creation. Okay, and this enabled us to develop our higher faculties, from memory to reason to intuition to imagination, and it allowed us to be the powerful creators that we are today. Okay, so
yeah,
basically, when we talk about light, we're talking about something that is magnificent. It's extremely mind-blowing. The science of it has intrigued many of the finest minds in the world. And even the border of light today keeps on expanding and growing. However, we're still at this stage where we're only scratching the surface and understanding the profound effect that light has on us. And it wasn't until the 1970s, I believe so, that a scientist called Fritz Hollwich discovered that light entering the eyes transform into an electric current, okay, that travel into the brain and turns on our pituitary gland and our endocrine system. And all this means
that's crazy.
This is exactly the way through which it controls our metabolism, our digestion, our production of energy, and our ability to sleep well at night. So
yeah, for those that missed all that or like lost that, he broke it down, but like light is life. Like your life is better with light, and we've demonized it and layered ourselves with, and you're probably going to get into this, but we've just layered ourselves with all these lotions and creams to stop it from coming in. But just like anything else, I like to tell people everything in moderation. Obviously, you wouldn't lay in the sun from sun up to sundown, just like you wouldn't try to fill all your calories with broccoli. That's a lot of fiber, but we would do things in moderation and have variety of it. But sorry, go on with what you were saying. I just wanted to pause right there because I wanted to make sure it wasn't going over anyone's head as far as like, you know, light is like, we would not be here. We would not have all the amazing things as a human species without it. And you need to go back and rewind and listen to that again and look up some of those words, but he kind of broke it down there. But go ahead, Roudy. I just wanted to pause you there for a second because I just think that's some phenomenal, and you even use that phenomenal stuff that, and you use the words transform our lives, and it totally did. So go ahead, continue.
Totally, and I truly appreciate your reflection there. It's beautiful, and you know, we always want to simplify things for people, and to put it in simple ways. You know, if we look around right now and ask ourselves the question, what can function without light? See, sunlight is the major source of our light, warmth, and energy. And not only it sustains the all life on Earth, but it sustains the Earth itself. And light provides the plants with the energy for photosynthesis, which in return sustains all the lives of the planet, all the lives of the humans and the animals on the planet. But not only this, light is the major source of our education and knowledge, because most of our learning occur by way of our eyes. So, like, simply put,
yeah,
and
that's a great point.
And basically, what most people don't realize, my friend, is that light is a double-edged sword. Okay. Now, what does that mean? The right type of light at the right time of the day can literally create wonders and healing. However, the wrong type of light at the wrong time of the day can unfortunately make us sick, depressed, anxious, and overweight. And in our nowadays society, most of the people today are being bombarded by the wrong type of light at the wrong time of the day. And more than ever before, this is causing chronic stress, anxiety, depression, and loss of productivity. And for nearly 25 years in my life, I suffered from those symptoms because I got to tell you something. I was literally exposed to the wrong type of light at the wrong time of the day all the time.
So what is the right, like people are like, okay, so what's the right and what's the wrong type of light? Real simple.
Great question. So if we look back at our ancestors, okay, our ancestors were exposed to a lot of sunlight during the day and a lot of darkness, fire, moon, and stars at night. Okay, so compared to our ancestors, this has changed drastically since the modern age. We have gained the power to light up our world 24 hours if we wish. And as great and exciting this seems, there is a dark side to this light. And we are starting to see it in what scientists call a circadian rhythm mismatch, which we can talk about a little bit later. But long story short, the right type of light is waking up and being exposed to natural light, which literally wake up every little cell in our body and send very important information to spark biological processes in our body that control our digestion, control our cognition and memory, our performance throughout the day. All of these things are controlled by morning sunlight. We need that morning sunlight. Now, people are replacing morning sunlight with their morning cell phones and their morning TVs, which is very deficient and emit a color temperature that is similar to 12 noon. And the problem with that is that most people nowadays are living all their day getting very little light and getting a color temperature that is confusing their brains about the time of the day. They go to night.
It's basically like it's noon all day long. It's noon all day long, basically, what you're saying.
It's noon all day long. And this is very disruptive because it's signaling to our body that it's supposed to be doing one thing rather than the multitude of self-healing functions that nature has equipped us with, right? Every light frequency throughout the day interact with our biology in very specific ways, whether it's producing vitamin D or production of melatonin in the eyes, or the production of serotonin and dopamine, which are literally, serotonin is the hormone that allow us to feel happy with what we got at the moment, to internalize our life, to feel peaceful. And dopamine is a miraculous molecule that allow us to feel inspired, motivated, and determined, and allow us to increase our ability, improve our ability to make decisions in life, and to see the bigger picture, to see patterns. And unfortunately, more than ever before, people are struggling with decision making. They're struggling with perceiving the bigger picture in life. And I suggest that this is really connected to the junk artificial light that we're exposing ourselves to on a daily basis, and depriving ourselves from the nurturing and amazing light frequencies that we have evolved to get from sunlight.
Yeah, I just think it's incredible. Like, and like, I even was listening or reading something. I mean, I get information from all sources, so it's hard to remember, but about by confusing and by doing this, how like one of the first things to go, you've talked about health, you've talked about sleep and energy, you've talked about metabolism and the effects on it, but creativity, like especially if you're a CEO, business owner, you're high up, where you need that creativity. And I'm not talking about like, the ability to draw, paint, write. We're talking like, everyday creativity that you need, especially if you're running a company. And like, I've literally had people ask me, how can I survive off 4 hours of sleep? And then so they can be more awake and inside without natural light. And it's just like, no, like of course they're not going to listen to you saying no, but it's just like, if anything, if this inspires everything that you're talking about, like if you're need creative thought, and creative thought is every day. People, like I said, it's not just the artwork, and maybe you want to dive into that. I'm sure you're already aware of that, and maybe you mentioned already, but I just like, when I heard that was one of the many motivating factors, because creativity for me is also like, hey, finding something to do with the kids, not getting stressed out and my bandwidth is short, and finding other activities, or coming up with workouts, or the basics of running the behind the scenes of a business, and you need creative cognition for that. So I would love to hear you talk a little bit about that if you can.
I'm gonna start and talking about the dark side of it, okay? And
right.
I'm gonna refer to Dr. Samer Hitar. Dr. Samer Hitar is a circadian expert. He recently published a paper showing the artificial light arriving to the eyes at night suppresses the production of dopamine and suppresses our cognition and memory the second day. All this means that we'll wake up the second morning feeling unhappy and much more likely to be feeling unsatisfied and disappointed. And it also means that throughout the day, as we're running our business, we're gonna have much less power for cognition and for memory. We need those higher faculties, as I mentioned. Memory, perception, reason, imagination are essential parts of what make us the creators that we are. And we need to start using those higher faculties. Now, in order to use these faculties optimally, we gotta start respecting our biological evolution. We evolved to get a lot of sunlight during the day, and we evolved to rest, repair, and restore at night. Now, the only time that we can restore is in complete darkness. Anytime that we are exposed to light at night, we are confusing our brain about the time of the day, and all of our cells are not going through the cleaning and the dishwasher aspect that our cells do every single night while we are sleeping, okay? And this results in us waking up in the morning burnt out on a cellular level. Now, it might not affect you for 1 week, it might not affect you for 1 year, but eventually, day after day, month after month, year after year, our cells start losing their efficiency. And when this happens, they start running into inflammation, which start blocking all those neurotransmitters that we need for optimal creativity and performance. we got to understand that we need a healthy level of dopamine. We need a healthy level of serotonin. And serotonin and dopamine are instruments, are musical players in the symphony of life. And what direct this symphony is light. Okay. And I'm going to explain a little bit more why it is light. And for me to address this, I think I'd like to educate people about the concept of circadian rhythm, because I'm aware that not so many people understand what circadian rhythm is and the importance of circadian rhythm in our life. I like to refer to circadian rhythms as our 24-hour symphony, musical symphony. And just like in every symphony, there's a conductor, a person who reads the notes and sends signals to the musical players, letting them know what to do. Correct? In our body, this conductor is called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. The name is not important. It's a tiny part in the brain that is reset every day by the rise and the fall of the sun. Okay. Now, this conductor is responsible for telling all of the millions of cellular clocks in our body what to do. It's how our body knows when to wake up in the morning, when to think of big problems and be creative, when is the right time to tap into peak cognition and flow, when is the right time to eat and digest, and when to go to sleep at night. Okay, all of these signals are controlled by the light and the darkness aspect of things. Now, I'd like you to imagine this. Imagine yourself in this musical symphony, and imagine if the conductor keeps on reading the wrong musical notes. How would the music sound? Awful, right? Now, the musical notes in that symphony are the light, is the light that we are exposed to in our life. And the musical players in that symphony, they're our organs, our brain, our heart, and everything in our body, from the tissues to the cells. Okay. Now, the problem is that in our modern world, we keep confusing the conductor with the wrong signals of light. We are drowning it with artificial light that is mainly blue light, which signals to our brain that it's 12 noon summertime all year long. And basically, this is taking away from our ability to be in sync and to be in harmony and to do the things that we are meant to do at the exact time when we are meant to do them optimally. Okay, we all have optimal times during the day to perform particular tasks and particular things. For instance, if we are fully in sync with sunlight, and for example, we're waking up at 5 in the morning every morning, okay, about 2 hours after we wake up, our peak cognition starts, and it goes for about 1 to 2 hours. And this is the perfect time for us to get things done. On a personal level, I started getting things done 100 times more efficient when my circadian rhythm became in harmony with sunlight. Because, my friend, before I would be exposed to the wrong type of light at the wrong time of the day, I would be feeling anxious and wired in the afternoon at times when I'm supposed to be restoring and winding down. And I would wake up I would wake up feeling tired and exhausted at times when I'm supposed to be operating at my peak as a human being. Again,
I mean,
think
I'm with
of our
you. Like,
ancestor.
I connect with you 100%. And for those that are maybe getting overwhelmed, I don't know, but like, I don't like, if anything, it's about less, not more. It's about more natural state. It's about being more in tune. It's not about devices or tracking or macro counting. It's more about, again, just being in tune with yourself, being in tune with nature, being in tune with your surroundings. And like, when you start to kind of like what he's talking about, get outside, do these things, and like even within your schedule, navigate. And if you have to use tools like these glasses and stuff like that, or like for me, I have a wife that gets up at 2 a.m. So that's where like I have the earplugs, I have the face masks that actually I've gotten from you, and that's just because like she's got to turn on the light and I'm fully rested. When I did like those little things, I was already doing the sleep. I was already doing I'm a a trainer, head coach of a gym. I run a gym. I've been doing the health thing, but like there was that little thing with my sleep, and I knew I was waking up and not fully refreshed. And so when I started trying to get more into it, like what you were just talking about, and that was it. And then I was waking up more energized and everything. So again, for those, the whole point I wanted to like pause you there was just like, don't be overwhelmed. Think less, think less, not more, and ease into some of these things. And maybe it just starts with just like getting outside if you can into the sun, preferably when it first comes up at sunrise, could be where you start. And then we just added that, or you talk to one of us. But anyways, go ahead, continue. Just wanted
Beautiful,
to pause you
man.
again there, just to kind of, because I
Beautiful.
know this can be a lot. You're so wise and intelligent. You're offering so many free nuggets here for people, and I don't want them to be like, where do I? Well, we just gave it to you, so you might want to listen to this one twice, because I
100%.
know I will. So.
It's actually more simple than we ever think, and because of its
Mhm.
simplicity, we often tend to miss it. Okay, so if I was to give anyone right now in front of me an advice, no matter how foggy headed you are feeling, no matter how depressed, anxious, and chronically fatigued, it doesn't matter. If you start implementing few steps from the light protocols, you are going to start experiencing much better results in your life. You are going to start tapping into the flow that you've been looking for. You will feel concentrated. You will feel focused. Okay, and start simply by waking up in the morning and facing the sun. Okay, rather than making the habit of facing your phone. Okay, commit to yourself, make your mind and make the decision that every morning I'm going to start my day by going outdoors for at least 5 to 10 minutes. I would encourage you to increase that time as you start feeling what I'm talking about. But even if you start with 5 minutes, you're gonna benefit. Okay, it's as
Mhm.
simple as this. And knowing when to turn off the lights at night is actually fundamentally important, right? Now let's face it, we all live in a modern world faced by artificial light every night. And this is exactly why, you know, owning a tool like this owning a tool like this is very practical because it is designed to filter out those light frequencies that we are not supposed to see at nighttime. So, like, to
Mhm.
summarize, if we do two steps, if we start only with two steps, step number one, waking up in the morning and facing the sun. Okay. Step number two, when the sun sets, trying to be in outdoors around that time. So we give our body the information that it needs so it knows that the day is about to end and it starts preparing us hormonally and on a cellular level to restore and rejuvenate. Now, adding to this step, when you come back indoors, you don't want to confuse yourself again by artificial light. And this is why having a tool like this after the sunset will help you and will help your brain and nervous system know the exact time of the day and therefore access a much more restorative sleep so you can wake up the second morning having the motivation, having the inspiration, and having the energy to be excited about your day, to actually be wanting to go outside and seek that morning sunlight, and to
Mhm.
actually be wanting to live up to your potential, the creator whom you are. Okay? It's simple. Only these two steps will make do. There's a lot of other steps.
It
We don't need to talk about
yeah.
them right now.
And it's so simple, but it's not, like for some people, oh, I can't, I'm always in a hurry. But it's like, well, let's, go to bed a little bit earlier, and oh, I have trouble sleeping. Well, maybe it's you need to ease into it a little bit, like, getting the glasses, like I said, and then you'll be able to wake up maybe 5 minutes earlier to get out in the sunlight. And if you're like, oh, I'm so crunch for time. Well, what do you crunch for time? And I always, to give people, like, I like to give myself at least 2 hours to have to be somewhere. That might sound crazy, but it encourages me to ease into the night, get to bed earlier. And then I find myself having more energy and being present for my kids and doing podcast interviews at late in the afternoon and all these different things. And like, you'll find yourself more fulfilling. we can talk about coffee another time, but if you're still a coffee and need to get that caffeine burst, I'm not going to talk about that right here because we're here to talk about light. But if you got to do that in the sun. Maybe even, hey, get a little risky and take your shoes off and walk barefoot in the grass. I mean, like those are things that I do, and I just feel myself getting natural energy, naturally awake, so I can be present, so I'm not cranky and tired and yelling at my kids. And like, it's because like, what environment do you want around you? And especially if you're raising children like I am, like your kids are a product of the environment that they're being raised in. And I always say this, and I've said it on multiple podcasts, your children learn more from what they see than by what you say. For example, don't touch that, don't touch it. You got to say it 100 times, but they model your behavior. What is your behavior teaching them? Is your behavior teaching them to respect the human body with like food, with sleep, with movement and mindset? And some of those things are the simple things that he's talking about on here. And it doesn't take much. Like, yeah, you can get a pair of these, but he just told you what else is out there is free. And I just want to touch on the parenting thing, because I know people, because early on in my parenting, I use it as an excuse and a reason not to do a lot of things optimally. But actually, I realized I have to do it optimally, and it's easier once you just get into the rhythm. And you're talking about that right now, there's circadian rhythm, and you even talk about, circadian rhythm mismatch. So yeah, I just wanted to again touch on that from the parent perspective and break it down, like not only how simple it is, but the big why you have to, for the betterment of everyone around you, including yourself. So go ahead.
You're making an amazing point, Justin, over there. And the why, the why is a very important question. I always try to start very simply by asking the person, what is it that you most want? What do you want? Do you want health? Do you want well-being? Do you want flow in your life? And if that's something that you want, you got to ask yourself, what type of results I'm currently getting in my life? Look at your present results, and they're going to tell you the frequency at which you're operating. Okay. If your present results are not matching with what you want, this all means that you need to start making some changes. And you bring up a great point, because it's about behavior. It's not about knowledge. We could sit and talk about light until tomorrow. Okay. It's great knowledge. It's great information, but this information will do nothing to you. I spent a year or so after I first listened to one of my mentors on a podcast, intellectualizing health and intellectualizing light, and nothing changed in my life. Okay. I was still the depressed person, and I was still the disoriented person that I was. The moment I took action and I started changing my behavior, things shifted over for me. Okay. And this reminds me of something that I really love to bring and talk about, because I think it's very important. One time I was hearing my mentor, and he was saying we cannot become healthy in the same environment that has triggered sickness in us. Okay. When I heard him saying this, it resonated deeply in my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I realized,
that's so powerful.
well,
Yeah.
I've been intellectualizing light and health for a year now and collecting all this information, but nothing is changing in my results. And I decided on that day, I made my mind. I said, I'm going to change my environment and see what happens. So I took off on a 6-week farming adventure trip, okay, with my current partner. And we basically worked outdoors all day under the sun. Now, for those of you who don't know, I grew up as a kid struggling with headaches, agitation, and inability to focus. And I was labeled to have ADHD. And growing up, I turned into a night owl who often felt depressed and disoriented, all right? Now, on this camping trip, and only after 3 days, something miraculous happened. For the first time in years, I was able to wake up before the sunrise, feeling energized and sparkling with energy and motivation. I worked outdoors all day, danced, cooked, hiked, swam in lakes, and studied more about light and circadian rhythm. I was in awe and in exhilaration. Okay. I went from foggy headed, depressed, and disoriented to feeling focused, concentrated, and alive. I didn't change my diet. I didn't take supplements, and I didn't change the way I exercised. all I ever changed is my light exposure. Okay. So right now, if you're sitting and watching, if you're not currently satisfied with your current results, know that you have a choice, and know that every little step that that you take today will result in a better tomorrow, in a better you. So by simply making your mind to wake up in the morning and breaking the habit of looking at artificial light, and rather going outside for 5 minutes and exposing yourself to sunlight, this is going to make a tremendous impact in your life. And if you are thinking at the moment, I don't have time to do this, I'd like to let you know and remind you that time is not something that we have or we don't have. Time is something that we make. Okay. We make time, and we
I
are the
love that. I love
creator
that.
of time. And we never manage our activity. We never manage time, my friend. I think the only thing that we can manage is our activity. And when we manage our activity, when we start to deliberately making choices that will support what we most want, then this all of this will start reflecting in our results.
Yeah, you said we create time, and in my book, I talk about time being a form of currency. Like, how do you spend your time? And you hit the nail on the head there. And it's like you even said, like, we're all busy. We all have the same 24 hours, and people have heard this, but it's like I talk about it in like rituals, like being disciplined. Like everything needs to be like brushing your teeth. Like no one says, "Oh, I don't have time." Maybe they do. Hopefully, I'm not coming around you if you're not brushing your teeth every day. But like there's things that people do in their life that are rituals. Like, for example, I talk about this too, about like if your ritual is hitting the alarm clock 5 times every morning, that's a ritual. If your ritual is getting up to go for a run in the morning, that's your ritual. Your ritual is going by Starbucks to get that $400 or not 400, pretty much 400 calorie coffee, then that's your ritual. Everything is ritual. And you said everything is a decision, and you could always make one decision better or worse every day. This isn't to stress you out. This isn't to overwhelm you. It's just decide like where your life's at right now. If you're happy with your body, could it be better? Because I'm always striving for a little bit better each day, not stressing. But again, mine is about setting up a legacy. And we're not talking about monetary. I'm like, what example do I want my kids, my grandkids that may not be alive, the reason for writing this book? And before I go up on a tangent here, that was the whole point. Like what are you doing with your time, and why aren't you doing this? And instead of like spending that time complaining or napping or doing these things that aren't really serving you or helping you, what about doing something simple as, instead of hitting the alarm 5 times or whatever, getting up in that sunlight for, he's not asking for a half an hour. He's not even asking you to go to a CrossFit class. He's just saying 5 minutes of something that is free for you and for those around you. And I think that's just phenomenal. So yeah, I think it's incredible. I had another question too, like, I've been kind of curious. I mean, it kind of says it's in itself, but for those that are just curious, like what of all the routes that you could have gone in, why VivaRays, and why the name VivaRays? Kind of switching subjects here, because I think we've hit the nail on the head, and we pretty much drilled it in, and with a lot of that on the light and the light therapy. And I know we could maybe we'll have an episode 2, but why? I mean, there's so many routes you could have done, and you could have done a numerous system. I'm already thinking off the top of my head, man, he should do this, he should do that, but I'm not you. You are you. So
Totally. I'll share a story coming back to my camping trip. So during this camping trip, I was feeling exhilarated again. I was feeling in awe. I felt alive once again after 25 years of feeling extremely dead from the inside, of feeling extremely depressed, and feeling that I'm the victim of my own genes and that there's nothing I can do about this. Okay. And during this time, my relationship with my partner deepened. Okay. My relationship with my family became much more meaningful. My relationship, most importantly, with myself started becoming deeper and deeper. And around that time, I never thought that I could ever come back to feeling depressed, anxious, and feeling what I was feeling for 25 years in my life. Well, I got to tell you something. I was wrong then. Because after my 6-week camping trip, I came back to the city. And the moment we stepped back in Toronto, we were bombarded by artificial light everywhere. Okay. And what happened there is that my sleep and wake cycle went from being totally harmonious to being out of tune once again. And it was a matter of few weeks that I lost this flow that I experienced on this farm. And I started feeling anxious, depressed, and falling into my old habitual patterns of staying up late all night and exposing myself to artificial light and sleeping all day and missing morning sunlight. Now, at this point,
Yeah, you went back to your old rituals there.
totally, I went back to my old conditioning. My paradigm took over again, and at this time, I felt deep disappointment and sadness. And I remember asking myself, is there a way to have the freedom to live in a modern world while staying in alignment with myself and with nature? Is there a way that I could still access those infinite states of flow and creativity that I accessed on the farm while being in the modern world? And this question, my friend, was a very important one, because the moment I asked it, I started tapping into research and I started tapping into answers, which led me to discover about blue blockers. And that same day I discovered about those glasses, I went on right away and I bought some pair in clear lenses. And after wearing them for a few weeks, I noticed no difference whatsoever in my health and in my patterns. And what I quickly realized is that those clear blue blockers were a marketing gimmick, okay? Because they blocked blue light up to 420 nanometer in wavelength, which is not emitted by LED bulbs and screen. So it's like trying to rinse your quinoa in a pasta strainer, right? The quinoa will end up passing through the holes because you're using the wrong filter. And similarly, with clear blue blockers, they're actually blocking blue light that is not emitted by those harmful resources. So they're useless and pointless. And this led me to deepen my research and discover about those orange lenses. So again, I went on and I bought some orange lenses for my partners and I. And after wearing them for a while, we started experiencing some good results, but something was still off and we didn't know why. And at this point, I felt really frustrated and annoyed, because I thought that eliminating blue light from my life will finally be the answer to all of my problems. And unfortunately, it wasn't. And what I quickly realized and learned, that blue light actually wasn't evil at all, like most people think. Blue light is not good or bad. It's actually relative, just like anything else in nature. Okay, and its effect on us really depended on the time of the day that we're exposing ourselves to it, and whether or not it was balanced and proportionate with the other colors of the spectrum. So,
yeah, that makes sense.
So the answer to the problem here became easy, because most of the blue light that we expose ourselves to nowadays is coming from human man-made light, which we call junk light in VivaRays. Now, the reason we call it junk light is because we think that it's much worse than junk food. I mean, exposing ourselves to blue light day and night rather than sunlight and darkness is like eating spoonful of sugar and fast food rather than eating organic and whole foods, right? So
it fills our bellies, but doesn't give us the nutritional values that we need.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I mean, at this point here, I started consulting the world's leading expert in circadian rhythm and neuroscience, and we decided to team up with optic experts in British Columbia. And the reason why we did this, because we needed the right equipment so we can make sure that our glasses are actually addressing the wavelength that they need to address. Now, it's a good thing that we're talking about this right now, because I wanted to share this with you by the beginning of the podcast. But most people like you, Justin, confuse the way they need to be using the daytime blue blockers. Like for instance, right now,
Gotcha.
you are wearing those yellow blue blockers.
Mhm.
And the problem with that is that you are depriving your eyes from very important light wave frequencies
From the sun.
from blue light.
Ah,
Right.
so I
Right.
should take these off.
Totally.
Oh,
And
okay.
because those glasses,
all
the
learned
yellow
something new.
glasses that you're wearing there, they block 100% of the blue at 455 nanometer. Okay, so it's a wavelength of light. And in the process of doing
Mhm.
this, they wipe out all of the blue turquoise. Now, why is that important? Because from a circadian perspective, the blue turquoise at 480 nanometer is the most important frequency during the day to reset our circadian rhythm and to energize our brain
Ah.
and allow us to be more productive, more awake, and
See, I'm even learning something. So this is awesome.
totally 100%. There's always new things to learn. And coming back to the story of VivaRays, at this point when we collaborated with those folks, we had access to state-of-the-art lab equipment, which resulted in the production of a 24-hour lens technology system that is designed to block the right amount of artificial light from day to nighttime. Now, what do I mean by day to night? Well, the sun is naturally changing its position in the sky throughout the whole day until it descends below the horizon at nighttime. And if we were to be outside, we would expose ourselves to different color temperatures of light and to different amounts of blue light that will either promote wakefulness or sleepiness. So exposing ourselves to the same light all day, or even trying to block blue light in the same way all day, is like living under a sunlight that doesn't change its position in the sky from morning to noon to nighttime. Can you imagine how destructive this can be to our rhythm and to our cycle?
Yeah.
And this is actually what is happening for most of the people in the modern world who are chronically exposed to the same light, or who are even trying to block blue light in the same way all day. And this is exactly why we actually need 3 different lenses for the different times of the day. The daytime lenses
Gotcha.
over here, those are designed to be worn only indoors when we are exposed to a lot of artificial light from devices, or when we are sitting under fluorescents and LEDs. Okay. Now, there are very important pieces for people to understand that those glasses, they're very different than any other glasses in the market. For instance, the one that you were wearing, Justin, they block 100% of the blue light at 455. And again, the problem with this is that they will wipe out a lot of the good blue light that could be coming from the window. And this will start
Interesting.
leading you to feeling sleepy or tired at the wrong time of the day. So we don't want this. And this is exactly why those glasses have been designed to address specifically the harmful frequency that is emitted from LEDs and reducing its sharpness and balancing it out with the other colors without eliminating blue light. We don't want to eliminate blue light during the day. We actually need blue light during the day because it stimulates our brain, elevate our mood, and reset our
Gotcha.
circadian clock.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, the evening glasses. Those are the evening glasses here. Those are designed to be worn after the sunset. So I'm
After the sun.
gonna consider Justin, an X day in your life. You wake up, you watch the sunrise in the morning, beautiful. You go to work, you're sitting indoors, and you're exposed to a lot of artificial light. You'll put the VivaRays daytime glasses, so you're protecting yourself from this sharpness. And even though with those glasses, we still ask people to take sun breaks. Now we all know that smokers take cigarette breaks because they have wired this habit and they do it vigilantly throughout the day. Now, what we invite people to do is maybe wire the habit of taking sun breaks from time to time so you could stay attuned to the time of the day. Even though you're wearing the Viva daytimes, this is not enough. It's great to still go outdoors and expose yourself. By the end of
Gotcha.
your day, Justin, the sun is setting you have committed to yourself, for instance, to be outside and witness this fading and waning light. Now, why is that important? Because it's important information for your body to start preparing and winding down. Okay. Now, you come back home, and again, there's all this artificial light at home. This is why the Viva evening glasses are important here, because those glasses, they were engineered to mimic the twilight color temperature or the bonfire color temperature. And as humans, we have evolved around this color temperature in the evening for thousands of years. And this information of light signal to our nervous system that it's time to wind down and relax. So those are great, especially during the winter and during the fall when the sun sets around 4 p.m. You don't want to be putting
Definitely
the
here, yeah.
glasses right away because you'll be sleepy by 7. Okay. Now, lastly, when when you finish from your evening activities, whether you're cooking, driving, or doing some evening tasks, and when around 1 to 2 hours before bedtime, this is when we switch to the Viva nighttime glasses. And those glasses are designed to block all of the blue and all of the green and to decrease a lot of the brightness. Now, why is that important? Because when this happens, our brain literally understands that it's dark outside. And this starts optimizing our melatonin, the most important hormone for us to be able to achieve restful sleep. But not only this, that will enable us to wake up in the morning feeling rested, feeling energized, and feeling motivated. Now, the cool thing about this system is that you don't need to buy 3 different lenses frames for the different times of the day. We designed this cool innovation that will allow you to seamlessly transition from one lens to another, simply like
Oh,
this.
wow. Cool.
So that enabled people to have the whole system in one frame and enable them to block the right amount of artificial light throughout the whole day from AM to PM, and therefore optimizing their circadian rhythm.
I love it. I'm glad you answered all that, because I was going to ask you, and I'm sure people were thinking like, well, what time? You explained it, broke it all down, and I love that. And I will have like those links below and everything else into the show notes. So I'll make sure you check that out. And if you have any questions, you can totally reach out to him. Man, I appreciate all this. I know we could go on forever, maybe not forever, for a while, and maybe there's a second one. But since the title of this podcast is One Step Further, I think you've provided a plethora of one step furthers. But I just wanted to leave. If there was anything else you wanted to quickly mention before we kind of hop off air for the day.
Well, I'd like to leave people with the hope that we start implementing those protocols into our life, and that we go beyond collecting information and start taking simple steps today to take control over our circadian rhythm, so we can start sleeping better and we can start waking up the way we have been wanting to wake up for so long. I know that all of you here want to wake up feeling happy, want to wake up feeling motivated and rested. And I know that all of you here are driven by a desire to create a better world for yourselves, for your loved ones, for your clients, and for the world in general. So I truly believe in you, and I trust that by implementing those protocols and those information, that you will be able to create the results that you are looking for in your life. I also invite you to go on www.vivarays.com and download our free ebook. It's called Light, the Key to Mastering Your Sleep and Energy. And it has a lot of golden nuggets that are compacted in a very condensed way. It's easy to read. It's a booklet, actually, not a book. And by reading this information again and again and again, this is how we learn. We learn through repetition. And when we start implanting these information into our subconscious mind, only then we can start taking meaningful action to change the things that we want to change. So that's one thing. Another thing, feel free to follow us on VivaRays on Facebook and Instagram, where we share a lot of educational material. And we are always here for you to support you. Anytime you have any questions, reach to me personally at Roudy@vivarays.com. Okay. And I would love to support you in this journey.
Awesome. Yeah. And like you said, everything is simple. Everything is connected. And the way you respond to the people that are in your life and the way you react to certain things, it's like It could be as simple as following sunlight. It could be as simple as I talk about, maybe just a little bit of movement, not a CrossFit, just something. It could be as simple as replacing that quick fast food thing with an apple or an orange. All these little things add up to our mindset, to our rest, to our movement or lack thereof. It's all connected into this big planet, Mother Earth, universe, call it what you will. So, well, I appreciate it. I learned obviously a lot, and this is just amazing. I love your energy, and I love what you're doing to make this world a better place, because you legitimately are. So anyways, well, thanks for being on here. And again, like, share, and subscribe to this podcast if you aren't already. And again, check him out at everything you just listed, but we'll have those below in case you missed it. And I definitely encourage you, don't just listen to this once, listen to it twice, because there's a lot of information in it. Anyways, thanks for tuning in to another episode of One Step Further. Hey, that discount code that you were looking for is right there on the screen. As you can see it, family20, family20. So go to VivaRays.com right now on the link provided below. Special link he created for myself, and you can get that 20% off. Again, thanks for tuning in.